Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for your association. We'll start our Bhakti Vaibhav session and we'll continue with chapter 5 of Canto 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं। परमानंद माधवं श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वर। My humble obeisances to all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So Hare Krishna, welcome all of you for this Bhakti Vaibhav session. So we are in chapter number 5. Let's do a quick recap what we have done. So we have seen so far that how Srila Vyasadeva was feeling so despondent that he, even compiling the Vedas, writing Itihasas, Puranas, he was feeling very depressed in his heart. And he could feel that this despondency, this depression that he's getting in his heart is because he has not exclusively glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was contemplating in his heart in that way. At that time, Narad Muni arrived. And to validate that what he was thinking is right, he asked few questions from Sri Narad Muni. Narad Muni also accepted that whatever he was thinking is right, that he has not exclusively glorified the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Narad Muni praised Srila Vyasadeva that how you are Mahabhag, you are such a fortunate person, you are Amoghadrik, you have a perfect vision, and you have firm vows, you are very saptarat, you are very truthful, and therefore he said that you are Trikaldarshi, you know past, present, and future. Therefore, please describe the glories of the Supreme Lord exclusively, which is very much needed. And then he said, we continued in the last section that was explained that how First, Narad Muni actually asked Vyasadeva, told that there are different two kinds of literature. And the two kinds of literatures were, anybody wants to say? What were the two kinds of literature?
Transcendental and materialistic.
Materialistic.
What is the difference between the transcendental literature and material nature? Yes, Sadamini Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji. In materialistic literature, Mataji, Lord's glories are not described, and the sages also don't find any pleasure in them. And it was compared to the pilgrimage place for crows. And in transcendental literature, even if it is improperly composed, but sages find so much pleasure in them because Lord's glories are sufficiently described.
Thank you, Mataji. So yes, as Mataji already mentions, that materialistic literature, even though they may be very perfect in their vocabulary, in their grammar, in the choicest of the words, but still because they don't deal with the glories of the Lord, they are the pilgrimage for crows. They are useless. But transcendental nature, even though even though imperfectly composed, but still Shravanti, Gayanti, Grinanti, Sadhava. It is still heard, sung, and accepted by the sadhus. So, on other hand, it's just a way of saying, but you know that any shloka or any verse or any words that describe the glories of the Supreme Lord are always perfect, right? They cannot have any imperfection in any of those words. That is why another name of the Supreme Lord is Uttama Shloka. Uttama Shloka means that the choicest words are used to describe the glories of the Lord. Or in the other sense, we can understand that the words that describe the glories of the Lord are always Uttama, are always perfect. But the point was that we have to focus on transcendental literature. And then Srinarad Muni also stresses on the point that how bhakti is the only thing that you have to describe, because it's only through the process of bhakti that we can know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he said that you have to describe the Lord's activities, because in this progress, in bhakti, there is no fall down. Swalpamapi api dharmasya trate mahato bhayat. Even a little amount of devotional service, bhakti that we do for the Supreme, for the desire to please the Supreme Lord, then it is never wasted. It never goes into vain. So the results of bhakti, he mentions that it is permanent. Therefore, he said, I request you, O Srila Vyasadeva, that because you are a Mogadrik, because you know you are the Avesh of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you have you have basically appeared for the well-being, for the Loka Kalyan. Therefore, please describe the Lord's activities vividly. Then the question can come that why only bhakti? Yes, he mentions that yes, there is no fall down in bhakti, there is no loss. Therefore, this process is a foolproof process. But in defining that process and giving, sometimes we try to explain some fundamentals. Okay, let me share my screen. But the point is that sometimes we want to share some fundamentals and we try to explain it to others. The others, it depends upon their grasping power, how much they can grasp. But when we explain them through the experience of others, or we try to explain them through our own experience, that what we have gone through, then it becomes a realized knowledge. And then when we give the example to others about the experience that others have shared, from the Shastras or the experience that we ourselves have gone through, then that creates a very good impact on others. And it makes the subject matter very, very easy for others also to understand. You all must be experiencing by now that if you try to explain anything, any part of the philosophy or anything, but even if you forget about philosophy, even if you try to explain anything to your children, then if you give your own example, see, I have gone through, so I don't want you to go through. Right? Or sometimes you say that I have gone through, therefore I know that this is perfect. So that is what is known as experiential learning. And when we share that experiential learning to others, then it creates a huge impact in the heart of others. So till now, Narad Muni was speaking in a theoretical form that you should describe the glories of the Lord and you should, glories of the Lord, and then you should exclusively describe. And you also have to describe the process by which you can achieve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Bhakti Yoga. But then now, from here onwards, the verse that we are going to start is Narad Muni is sharing his own experience. He's saying, I'm not saying this as a theoretical knowledge to you, Vyasadeva. Rather, I've personally gone through all this. And therefore, I want to share what I have gone through to validate this, that the only process to worship the Supreme Lord is through the process of Bhakti Yoga, which is a foolproof process. And with that process, when you enter into that process and you describe the glories of the Lord, that itself is commendable. So from here onwards, wait. From here onwards, Narad Muni will be sharing his own experiences. So this is chapter 5. Yeah. So he's saying that now this learned circles, they have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerity, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in a choice poetry, Uttama Shloka. So you do any of this, you do austerity, you do study of the Vedas, you do some sacrifice, you chant some hymns, you do some charity, but everything has to culminate in the description of the Lord. And everything has to culminate in the desire to please the Lord. Now, from here onwards, Narad Muni is sharing the experiential learning. And that experiential learning is not bringing anything from the Shastras or from outside. Rather, he is sharing his own personal realized knowledge, realizations he is sharing. That, oh Vyasadeva, I'm going to tell you that what I have gone through, and that process is the best process. So text 23 onwards, he will be sharing his own pastime, his own story. Aham puratit bhave bhavam mune dasyastu kaschana vedavadinam nirupita balaka eva yoginam shushushane pravashi nirvikshatam. Aham puratit bhave, atita. So he's telling Aham, I own Vyasadeva. He is telling this story to Vyasadeva, his own story. Narad Muni is sharing. Puratita bhave. In the previous millennium, I'm not talking about this kalpa. He's talking about the previous kalpa. Puratita bhave. In the previous kalpa, he say, O Mune, O Vyasadeva, dasyastu kaschan vedavadinam. I was born as the son of a maid servant. Dasyas, as a maidservant. I was born as a son of a maidservant. Balaka, I was born as a son of a maidservant. And this maidservant got an opportunity. This maidservant means that boy's mother. And who is that boy? That boy is Srila Narad Muni. So he's saying, my mother, she got an opportunity to serve whom? Vedavadina, to serve those people who are very learned in the Vedas. They are Bhakti Vedantas. Now, why they are known as Bhakti Vedantas? Why can't they be any Jnanis or they can be any yogis? Because Veda deals in everything. But specifically because they will be in future giving the process of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that they were Vedavadinam. They know the essence of the Vedas. They are the followers of Vedanta. And when the Vedas end, then Vedanta starts. Veda Anta. After the Vedas end. And what is the sense of the Veda? Aham Sarvasvir. Krishna says that what is the sense? That to know me, to know Krishna is what is the essence of the Vedas. And Narad Muni says, Shushushane Pravrishi Nirvikshitam. And they all stayed. My mother, she was in the service of those Vedavadinam, those Bhakti Vedantas. And for the Pravrishni, Prabhupada translate, during the 4 months of the rainy season, that is Chaturmasya, when at that time the sages, when they don't prefer to travel during these 4 months of the rainy season. So they stay at one home, they do their sadhana, they give the blessings, and then they move forward for their prachar, for the preaching purposes. So all these sages for 4 months, for the months of the rainy season, for the Chaturmasya, they were living together. And my mother got the opportunity to serve those Bhakti Vedantas. And I was born of that lady, of that poor maid servant, as the son of that poor maid servant. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Sorry, Prabhupada.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. O Muni, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maidservant, engaged in the service of Brahmanas who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bimala. So he said that I was serving. My mother was engaged in the service of those who were following the principles of Vedanta, and they were staying for during the 4 months of the rainy season. And I personally got engaged in their service. So during the 4 months of the rainy season, so we have seen the example of even our dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that once when he was in the South India tour, he also stayed in the house of Venkat Bhatta in Sri Rangam. And during this 4 months of rainy season, this Chaturmasya, so Mahaprabhu stationed himself in Sri Rangam at the house of Venkat Bhatta. And there our Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he got an opportunity to associate. He was just a small boy at that time, but he got the opportunity to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And to an extent where when Mahaprabhu was about to leave, he said, no, I want to come with you. And Mahaprabhu said, no, not the right time. You serve your parents, do your responsibilities, do your duties, and later you can come to Sri Vrindavan Dham. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami then followed the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's very important that how we serve the devotees. So now we saw that why Narad Muni started this. Because Narad Muni, he wants to share this to Vyasadeva, that if you want to have pure bhakti, so in the previous verses also, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains when Narad Muni was trying to explain about this bhakti process to Srila Vyasadeva, at that time in the commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, I know Preeti Vilasthi Mataji must have covered, about the 3 types of bhakti. The first type of bhakti is Kevala Bhakti. Kevala Bhakti is the bhakti that is done specifically for the desire to please Krishna, which is also known as Ananya Bhakti. That Ananyata is there towards Krishna. And whatever we do, whatever service we do, we have only whole soul one thing in our mind, that we have a desire to please Krishna. Whether with our actions Krishna will be pleased or not, that's a different situation. But in our heart, intention, whatever service we do, our desire is to please Krishna. That is Kevala Bhakti or Uttama Bhakti. That Rupa Goswami also describes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But there is another type of bhakti, that is Pradhanya Bhakti. Pradhanya Bhakti is a Mishra Bhakti. When like we have Karma Mishra Bhakti or Jnana Mishra Bhakti, or there is some Mishrit is there. It is not unalloyed, rather it is alloyed. But in that what happens? The Pradhanya Bhakti is that it is Mishrit, but Bhakti aspect is more. Like if we have Karma Mishra Bhakti, there the karma is little bit added into the process of bhakti. Jnana Mishra Bhakti, little bit jnana is added to that bhakti. So bhakti aspect is more, but the alloy that is used to mix it, that means karma, jnana, yoga, is of a very low quantity. But because it is mixed, it doesn't fall under the category of Kevala Bhakti. That is Pradhanya Bhuta Bhakti or Pradhanya Bhakti. Third is Guna Bhava Bhakti. In Guna Bhava Bhakti also the mixture is there, like karma is, but that in that bhakti is little, but other elements are in greater quantity. So that becomes Bhakti Mishra Jnana. So that Jnana is prominent, but little amount of bhakti is there. Or Bhakti Mishra Karma. Karma is predominant, but little amount of bhakti is there. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes these things. Kevala Bhakti, Pradhanya Bhakti, and Guna Bhava Bhakti. But Srimad Bhagavatam deals with mostly Kevala Bhakti, sometimes in Pradhanya Bhakti also, where the bhakti aspect is more, but little bit karma, mishra, or jnana, or yoga is added. So our Narad Muni said that I am here going to discuss what bhakti process I am going to tell you, which is always credit, which has no loss, there is no fall down. That is Kevala Bhakti. And to get that Kevala Bhakti, he's saying that there is no cause to get that bhakti. The only way we can get is by the mercy of the devotees or by the mercy of Krishna himself. Bhakti Sanjayate Bhakti. It's only through bhakta that bhakti comes. So there is, he says, no cause for pure bhakti other than the mercy of the devotees of the Lord. Neither of any austerity. In the previous verse we saw, no kind of austerity, no kind of charity, no kind of knowledge can give you that pure bhakti. And that, to illustrate that Kevala Bhakti, he is saying in his own pastime that how in his previous birth he was in one of the Kalpa of Brahma, he was born as a maidservant of the maidservant. He was born at the house of the maidservant, that lady, and she was engaged in the service of Bhakti Vedantas. And those were what they were doing. They stayed there for 4 months. So let's see what Prabhupada says. The wonder of an atmosphere surcharged with devotional service to the Lord is briefly described here in by Srila Narad Muni. He was the son of the most insignificant parentage. So Prabhupada says he was the son of the most insignificant parentage. So that itself shows that even if we are of the high birth, doesn't guarantee us to be the recipient of the mercy of the devotees. So to get the mercy of devotees, there is no prerequisites needed. He was not properly educated also. Still, because his complete energy was engaged in the service of the Lord, he became as immortal sage. Such is the powerful action of devotional service. The living entities, they are marginal energy of the Lord. We know that Krishna has three, is Bahiranga Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, and Tatastha Shakti. We Jivas belong to that Tatastha Shakti. And therefore, because we are in Tata, Tata means that we have an opportunity to go this way or that way. Therefore, they are meant for being properly utilized in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So it's only the human birth, we living entities, because we are in the marginal, belong to that marginal of the energy of the Lord, we have this opportunity to accept the spiritual energy of the Lord. When this is not done, when we don't accept, then one situation is what is called as Maya or illusion. Therefore, the illusion of Maya is at once dissipated as soon as one's full energy is converted in the service of the Lord instead of in sense enjoyment. So we know that how this curtain of Maya is raised only and only when we surrender unto the Supreme Lord. Mameva hi prapadyante mayametam tarantite, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So the curtain of Maya will be removed when we serve the Supreme Lord. So from the personal example of Sri Narad Muni in his previous birth, it is clear that the service of the Lord begins with the service of the Lord's bona fide servants. And what is this verse? Raise your hand. Where the Lord says that the service of his servants is greater than his personal service. Service of the devotees is more valuable than the service of the Lord. What is this verse? Raise your hand. It's a very common verse. No one? No one knows? Ye me bhakta jana partha. Still nobody got it? Yes, Praladananda Prabhu.
Dhanwad Pranam Mata. It's in Adi Puran and it's Ye me bhakta jana partha, na me te bhakta jana partha. Ye me mat bhakta jana bhakta te me bhakta tama mata. That's what he says. Bhaktas are my real bhaktas. Te me bhakta.
Thank you, Prabhu. Ye me bhakta jana partha. So there in Adi Puran, as Prabhuji said, our Krishna, he was telling to Arjun, O Parth, O Kaunteya, O Arjun, ye me bhakta jana, those who declare that I am the devotee of Krishna, na me bhakta ste jana. I don't consider them to be my devotee. Oh, Arjun said, then whom you consider? Mat bhaktanam yacha bhaktas. I consider those who consider my devotees. Te me bhakta tamamata. As per my opinion, as per my mati, as per my understanding, they are my real devotees because they serve my devotees. So you can memorize this verse. This is very helpful. So Prabhupada says, because Krishna declares this, therefore one should chooses a bona fide servant of the Lord who is constantly engaged in his service, accept such a servant as a spiritual master and engage himself in his service, considering the instructions of the spiritual master as one's life and soul. Such a spiritual master is a transparent medium by which to visualize the Lord. So that spiritual master becomes the transparent medium. How to understand this? My Guru Maharaj always gives this example. Of course, definitely it is coming from Srila Prabhupada only. But he says that if any person who wants to see some celestial objects in the sky, it's so hard to see them through our naked eyes. But if we use a telescope, then the far objects becomes nearer and it is easy to understand. Sorry. So what happens in that telescope? There is a series of lenses that are there, and those lenses are transparent. And what is the function of those lenses? That they bring the object closer. But there is not one lens. You put one lens, still the object will be far. You put another, then you put another. You put series of those lenses, and then because they are transparent, they bring the object nearer to our vision, and we are able to see that object. Similarly, to understand the Supreme Lord, it's so hard. Therefore, we need to be in the disciplic succession. In that disciplic succession, all our Guru Vargas, they are like lenses, the transparent via medium, through which we are able to connect with the Supreme Lord. That Supreme Lord who is beyond the conception of the material senses. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is known as Adhokshaja, because we cannot understand him through our material senses. But it's only by the transparent medium of the various spiritual masters in the disciplic succession, we are able to visualize the Lord. So by service of the bona fide spiritual master, the Lord consents to reveal himself in proportion of the service rendered. What is this verse where the Lord reveals himself in proportion to the service rendered?
Ye yathamam prapadyante tam pasyanti.
Excellent. Ye yathamam prapadyante. As you surrender, the Supreme Lord will be revealing. So see how every word, especially after doing Bhakti Shastri, you get this realization that Prabhupada literally quotes the translation in his purport. And all these are coming from where? From our acharyas. Prabhupada has taken the commentaries of all other acharyas and have consolidated and give us in the purport, in the form of a purport. You don't have to run here and there. Just focus on the preliminary subjects that we read, like Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Ishopanishad, Updeshamrita. And then when we come to the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, it becomes so easy to understand. So utilization of the human energy in the service of the Lord is the progressive path of liberation. The whole cosmic creation becomes at once identical with the Lord as soon as one served in relation with the Lord and rendered how? Only under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And the expert spiritual master knows the art of utilizing everything to glorify the Lord. And therefore, under his guidance, the whole world can be turned into the spiritual abode by the divine grace of the Lord's servant. So this is what we know, that this world is what? It is dukkhalayam, ashashvatam. But that is the understanding from the perspective of a conditioned soul. Because for the conditioned soul, every step is what? Padam is vipadam, is the suffering. That is the realization of a conditioned soul. He thinks that, oh, this is worthless. Of course it is worthless. Of course this place is dukkhalayam. What else you expect? But anyone who is on an advanced stage, for them the distress or happiness or fame or infamy, honor, dishonor, doesn't value anything. So when they go beyond such things, these dualities of life, then for them this world is equal to the spiritual world, because it only depends upon our perception. Therefore, the same world which is Dukkhalayam described in Bhagavad Gita, it becomes Sukhalayam for the devotees like Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, where he says that this world is a Sukhalayam. Why? Because this world is giving you the opportunity to chant, to come in the association of pure devotees, to glorify the Supreme Lord. Where will we get this opportunity? So therefore, wherever we get this opportunity, whether it is material world or the spiritual world, this world itself becomes the spiritual world, because it gives us the opportunity. So, but that how it should be done? Only under the guidance of the spiritual master. So this is how Prabhupada has given his own ecstasy in the form of these purports, that yes, even when we rise up from all these dualities of life, then the life becomes very easy to handle or to understand. Let's go to the next verse, 24. ते मे अप्येताखिलचापलेर्भके दान्ते धृता क्रीडनकेऽनुवर्तिनि चक्रुकृपां यद्यपि तुल्यदर्शना शुश्रूषमाणे मुनयोल्पभाषिणी. So here Narad Muni is telling about himself. He's saying that they may unto me apet akhila chapala arbhake. I was a little boy. I was a little child. And the child, what does the child have? Is chapale, is very chanchal. The child is very chanchal. And the child have all kind of apet akhila. All kind of chanchalta is there in the child. You see a small child, there are all proclivities to play around, to be naughty, to do all kind of things. But Narad Muni is saying, Dante, I was very controlled. My senses were very controlled. Drida kridanke, adhritra kridanke means without being accustomed to sporting habits. The child always loves to do what? Krida, always loves to play. But Narad Muni says, I was not accustomed to these sporting habits. Dhrita, I was very steady. Akridante means I was not inclined to always play. Nanuvartini, I was very anuvartini. Anuvartini means I was very obedient, following in the footsteps of others. Chakro Kripam, and therefore I was the recipient of the mercy of the Supreme, of the Bhakti Vedantas. Those Bhakti Vedantas who were Tulya Darshana. Tulya Darshana means who were equipoised in their vision. So Uttamadhikaris, they are always equipoised. They are Samadarshina. They don't see any good quality or bad quality in a person, or good habits or bad habits. They just give out their mercy. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur again writes that yes, these qualities were there in Narad Muni, but these qualities were not the prerequisites for Narad Muni to be the recipient of the mercy of those Bhakti Vedantas. Because those Bhakti Vedantas were Tulya Darshana. They were impartial by nature. And therefore they bestow their kripa. Kripa is causeless mercy. The mercy which doesn't come with some hetu. So Shrishamane Mano Alpabhashini. And he says, O Muni, I was the follower. I was following them and with faith. And also I was Alpabhashini, means I do not speak which is more than required. So Narad Muni, he has controlled senses. Dante, He gave up the childish play, dhrita kridante, but all these qualities are not the prerequisites for him, because the sages, they were tulya darshana. They don't see that somebody is good or bad. They saw equally when somebody is good tempered or bad tempered, or those who are praiseworthy or those who are to be criticized. No, they don't consider. Because if they would have considered this, then they were not Samadarshina. Because they were Uttamadhikaris, they were Samadarshina, and therefore they bestow their causeless mercy upon me. Again, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that why these Vedavadinas, these Bhakti Vedantas, they were Uttamadhikari, because if somebody is on the Madhyama level, then through nectar of devotion we understood that how the Madhyamadhikari behaves. The Madhyamadhikari has a criterion. Prema, Maitri, Kripa, Upeksha. That is the criteria of a Madhyamadhikari. When somebody is in the pure love for Krishna, the Madhyamadhikari has prema towards them. If somebody is on to the beginner level, then the Madhyamadhikari bestow kripa. If somebody is on to the peer level, means equal level, then he has that sambandha of maitri. And if somebody is envious of the Supreme Lord or his devotees, then our Madhyamadhikari is upeksha. He tries to maintain the distance with those people. So now our Narad Muni is saying that don't think because I have this quality of control sense or not having the propensity or proclivity to play around, and because I was Alpabhashani, I hardly speak, doesn't give me the guarantee of the causeless mercy of the Bhakti Vedantas. These Bhakti Vedantas, they have shown the mercy on me that because they were Uttamadhikaris. And they were Uttamadhikaris, therefore they were able to bestow mercy on me, irrespective of what quality I have. So yes, Narad Muni is saying, rather, after receiving the mercy from them, I got more of these qualities. So that is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying. That he, Narad Muni, developed those good qualities only by the mercy of the devotees. So first few qualities attracted the mercy, but doesn't become a prerequisite. It just attracted those devotees. And when the mercy flowed, those qualities were enhanced. So that is what he was trying to explain. So see, the mercy comes conditional and unconditional. Conditional mercy is when a Madhyam Adhikari or a Kanishta Adhikari wants to give mercy to others or wants to bring others to the process of Krishna consciousness, they will see this process of discrimination, whether the person is eligible or not. But those Uttam Adhikaris, they will not see any prerequisites. Rather, they will simply give the mercy. The example of our dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Patra patra na dekhi sthana sthana. Jahan dekhi tahe kare, Krishna dhare naam. Our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't see whether somebody is eligible or not, whether this place is auspicious or not. Rather, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whomsoever, wherever he will meet anyone, he will simply give his embrace and give him pure bhakti, Krishna bhakti. So Narad Muni is also saying this, that although I have these qualities, but these qualities were not the criteria for me to get the mercy, because those Bhakti Vedantas were Tulya Darshan. And when they gave their mercy to me, when I was serving them faithfully, when they gave mercy to me, the qualities that I possess got enhanced. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty and I did not speak more than required. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, brother. So this is what our Narad Muni is saying. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur from here onwards described that how this pastime of Sri Narad Muni is an exemplary or is an experiential learning that he shared. So in that regard, he points out that from here onwards, from this verse onwards, Narad Muni is describing his progressive stages of bhakti. And we know the 14 progressive stages of bhakti that we did in the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It starts with what? Mahatse, Satam Kripa, right? It starts with Satam Kripa. So this is the Kripa, Satam Kripa. Satam means devotees. So this is the Kripa of devotees that happened, the causeless mercy that happened on Sri Narad Muni. And then what happened? He got engaged, Mahat Seva. He got engaged in the service of those Bhakti Vedantas. He developed Shraddha. And finally, Narad Muni was initiated by those Bhakti Vedantas. So he took Guru Pada Ashraya. Let's read Srila Prabhupada's purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, all the Vedas are searching after me. Lord Sri Chaitanya says that in the Vedas, the subject matters are only three. Three kinds of subject matters are described. What are those? Sambandha Gyan, establish the relationship of the living entity with the personality of Godhead. Abhideya process, perform the relative duties in devotional service. And Prayojana, to achieve the ultimate goal. So our Krishna conscious philosophy also revolves around these three. Sambandha Gyan, Abhidaya, that is the process, and Prayojana, that is the ultimate goal. So as such, these Vedantavadis or the followers of Vedanta indicate the pure devotees of the personality of Godhead. Such Vedantavadis or these Bhakti Vedantas, they are impartial, they are Tulya Darshana in distributing this transcendental knowledge of devotional service. To them, it doesn't matter if one is enemy or friend, one is educated or uneducated. No one is especially favorable and no one is unfavorable. Patra na dekhi sthana sthana. Why? Because they are on the level of Uttama Bhaktas. Because of this quality of Tulya Darshana, Narad Muni is also validating this point, that those Vedantists were not normal transcendentalists, but they were Bhakti Vedantas, they were Uttamadhikaris, and therefore they bestow mercy on me. These Bhakti Vedantas see that the people in general are wasting time in false sensuous things. And their business is to get the ignorant mass of people to reestablish the lost relationship with the Supreme Lord. People in general have forgotten the Supreme Lord, and they are always engaged in their sense gratification. They have become forgotten. To rouse up to their sense of spiritual life is the duty of those spiritualists. And thus, Narad Muni is saying, being initiated by the Bhakti Vedantas, the people in general gradually progress on the path of transcendental realization. So the Vedantavadis initiated the boy, Prabhupada is saying. So Narad Muni also took initiation. And then, before he became self-controlled, and was detached from childish sporting. But before the initiation, the boy became more and more advanced in discipline, which is very essential for one who wishes to progress in the line. How to understand this? Like in our Sampradaya also, in Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, to take initiation, we need certain prerequisites. Okay. We need to do some IDC course. We have to chant 16 rounds. We have to follow the 4 regulative principles for a certain amount of time. Only then we get initiation. Because in initiation, what the spiritual master sees is the discipline that is followed by the disciple. Disciple word comes from the word discipline. To be disciplined in our sadhana, to be disciplined in our devotional service. Now, yes, these prerequisites are needed, but these prerequisites, why they are needed, why we need to be disciplined? Because it helps us to progress in the spiritual life. Now, if we all introspect our own life, when we got that initial Satam Kripa, the association of a devotee, the mercy of that devotee, were we disciplined at that time? No. So that Satam Kripa came, the Kripa of the devotee came. Maybe that devotee may not be an Uttamadhikari, but that mercy came, we started engaging ourselves, and then what happened? We came to the progress, the path of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is also saying this. These Bhakti Vedantas, they initiated the boy, Narad Muni, irrespective of what qualities Narad Muni had. Now, this is the plus point, that Narad Muni already had these good qualities of being self-controlled and detached from childish sporting. And he was Alpabhashini. So, but before the initiation, the boy became more and more advanced in discipline, which is very essential for one who wishes to progress in the spiritual line. So it goes both ways. We need to be disciplined, then it attracts the mercy of the devotees. And then when we engaged, our good qualities are enhanced. But our good qualities doesn't become a bottleneck for us to get the mercy, because the mercy of Uttamadhikari comes even if we are eligible or not, but it comes. This way we have to understand. In the system of Varnashrama Dharma, which is the beginning of actual human life, small boys after 5 years, they are sent to some brahmacharis at the Guru's ashram, where these things are systematically taught to every boy, whether the boy is a son of a king or a son of an ordinary citizen. That training was compulsory, not to create good citizens of the state, but also to prepare the boy's life for the future realization. Therefore, Prabhupada says that all my brahmachari disciples should stay brahmachari, should stay in this brahmachari ashram for minimum 25 years of age. And it is for both, whether it's male disciple or a female disciple. Till 25 years, we have to be in a strict brahmachari life. Only a strict brahmachari can really enter into a good grahastha ashram. The irresponsible life of sense enjoyment was unknown to the children of the followers of those varnashrama. The boy was even ejected with the spiritual acumen before being placed by the father in the womb of the mother. Because what happened in the varnashrama system? The proper samskaras are followed. Garbhadhana samskara, then Upanayanam samskara. Even before that a conjugal relationship happens between mother and father, between a male and a female, they have to go through a proper samskara, Garbhadhana samskara. Only then they come close to each other, and then the female becomes pregnant. So both father and mother were responsible for the boy's success in being liberated from the material bondage. That is the process of successful family planning, to beget children for complete perfection, to beget children and bring them into Krishna consciousness. Without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go home back to Godhead. Now comes the next verse where he explains that what actually he did. So 4 things already happened. That is Satam Kripa, Mahat Seva, and then Shraddha, he got faith, and then finally Guru Pad Ashram. He took shelter onto the lotus feet. So 4 stages are covered. He's telling his different progressive stages of bhakti. Uchishthalepan anumodita dvija sakritsma bhunje tadapasta kilpisha evam pravrattasya vishuddha chetasas tadharma evatma ruchi prajayate. Now he's telling what else happened after getting initiation, after taking Guru Padashra. Uchishtalepan anumodita dvija. From those dvijas, from those Bhaktivedantas, taking their anumodita. Anumodita means taking their permission. Uchishtalepan, I took their remnants. The food stuff that is left by them, I honored it. How many times? Sakrit. Once. Sma bhunje tad apashta kilbisha. Once I took the remnant of those Bhaktivedantas by taking their permission. I took the remnants of the food that they have left. And tad apasta kilbisha. And all my sins were totally eradicated. I came to the pure platform, the purified form. Evam pravrittasya vishuddha chetasas. And my mind, my chitta, it becomes vishuddha. It came on the very purified, means it came on the Shuddha Sattva level. Tad dharma evatma. Then I started following their dharma. The nature, what the Bhaktivedantas were following, I started following the same, because now the mirror of my heart was completely cleansed. That Cheto Darpana Marjana happened. Tad dharma evatma. And my mind was completely engaged in the activities that they were doing, that is chanting, hearing, and glorifying the Supreme Lord. Ruchi prajayate. And then I started developing ruchi, that natural attraction towards them. So now he's talking about the next stage. The next stage is that he got spriha. Spriha means first that bhajaneshu spriha. So what happens after Guru Padashra? When bhajaneshu spriya happens, means one is inclined to do bhajan. So Narad Muni is also saying, Tad dharma. I started following the bhajan that they were doing, and that is hearing and chanting. Then I started following the process of bhakti. And then anartha nivritti happened. I became purified. Right? He says, right? Apasta kilbisha. I became anartha nivritti, means all my anarthas were eradicated. And then I developed nishtha. I got determined in my devotional service, and then ruchi prajayate, and I got ruchi. So this second verse is describing till the level of ruchi. So bhajaneshu spriya, then bhakti, then anartha nivritti, then nishtha, and then ruchi. So he's saying all these things happened. So I happened, Narad Muni is saying, one day I happened to eat the remnants of those Bhaktivedantas by their permission. And then what happened? All the anartha nivritti happened. All the obstacles of bhakti disappeared. and the mind became totally cleansed, totally purified. And then what happened? I started developing faith. I started developing nishtha. And then slowly and slowly, I start getting taste, ruchi also in the activities that those Bhakti Vedantas were doing. Tat dharma evatma ruchi prajayate. Whatever activities that they were doing, and that activity was hearing and chanting, I got ruchi. I got taste in doing that. Translation, somebody can read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Once only, by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, being engaged, I became purified in heart, and at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me.
Thank you, Mataji. So all these things happen. Bhajaneshu Spriha, Bhakti, Anarthapagama, Nishtha, and then Ruchi. So we are talking about not the 9 stages that we know by Rupa Goswami, but the 14 stages that we covered in the second chapter given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So when we are covering those 14 stages, now he has come to the level of Ruchi. Prabhupada says, pure devotion is very much infectious. Yes, it is contagious, but it is in a good sense as infectious disease. So some diseases are very contagious, but they are in the wrong sense, like we already experienced COVID. So whenever we get exposed to a person who is having that COVID, naturally we also start developing that symptoms, and eventually we also become COVID positive. Similarly, the pure devotion is also very, very infectious. A pure devotee is cleared from all kinds of sins, and the personality of Godhead is the purest entity. So, unless one is equally pure from the infection of material qualities, one cannot become a pure devotee of the Lord. Esham tu antagata papam jnanam punya karmanam te dvanda moha te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrata. Our Krishna, he says that you have to become pure. Esham tu antagata papam. Then only when you are above the dualities of these dvandvas, then bhajante mam dridhavrata. Then only you will be able to do that bhajan of me, but in a very drid way. So the Bhakti Vedantas, as above mentioned, were the pure devotees, and the boy became infected with their qualities of purity by the association and by eating once the remnants of the food stuff taken by them. So our Chaitanya Charitamrita also says, Bhakta Pada Dhuli ar Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha Tina Mahabal. These are the great strength, the Teen Mahabal. What are the Teen Mahabal to progress in our spiritual life? Bhakta Pada Dhuli. When we take the dust of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, of the devotees. Second, Bhakta Pada Jal, the water that has washed the lotus feet of our spiritual master or the devotees. Bhakta Pada Jal, that water we don't have to just sprinkle on our head, but that water has to be honored. Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha. And when we accept the food remnants that is left by those devotees, Tina Mahabal, they are the 3 ways. Now here he says, Narad Muni, that I took by their permission the remnants of the food. But our Srila Prabhupada in his purport says, such remnants may be taken even without permission of the pure devotees. Why he says that? Because no devotee will give their remnants to others. Nobody will give. So when we find someone who are our Shiksha Gurus or Diksha Gurus or those who are senior advanced devotees, Even without their permission, we can accept their remnants. But the only condition is that we should have faith. We should have faith in this verse of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where Mahaprabhu says, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha, that when we take the remnants of the devotees, of the advanced devotees, it is one of the strength that we develop to progress in our spiritual life. Prabhupada says there are sometimes pseudo-devotees, and one should be very cautious about them. There are many things which hinder one from entering into devotional service. But by the association of pure devotees, all these obstacles are removed. That anartha nivritti happens, just like in the case of Narad Muni. The neophyte devotee becomes practically enriched with the transcendental qualities of the pure devotee, which means attraction for the personality of Godhead's name, fame, qualities, etc. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of pure devotion, always in the transcendental activities of the Lord. So when we become infectious to this pure devotion, then we also develop this taste, imbibe the ruchi of pure devotion. We get the taste to describe or to glorify the Supreme Lord. Let's move to text number 26. Tantravaham Krishna Katha Pragayatam Anugraheshashramam Manohara Tat Shraddhaya Me Nupadam Vishnupata Priya Shravasyanga Mama Bhavada Ruchi. Oh, Vimal Prabhu, you have raised your hand.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Mother.
Prabhu.
Yeah, Mother. For that verse, right, 25th verse, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask a question. Now, for this specific point, right, without their permission, right? So, first thing is, Mataji, is this applicable only to, in the current situation, only to spiritual masters or?
No, not spiritual master. To anyone whom you feel, those who inspire you, those who you feel that, yes, they are good for my spiritual life, we can take the remnants.
Okay. So when we say without permission, we'll say this is a little bit situation. We know that they are not going to leave any prasad in their plate, right? We know because it is not good to. It is a dishonor of prasad, right? If they leave the. So we should say, I know you are taking prasad, but leave something for me. Can we say like this and something? I'm trying to.
It's just wiping off little bit. Ek kana bhi mil jaye to it's okay. Like my Guru Maharaj will never leave anything in his plate. Never ever. So we serve him in some bowls and plates. What he will do, he'll take a separate plate. He'll pour everything from those bowls. And in that plate, he'll mix it with rice and then he will honor it. But once he finished, then we take that plate. We wipe that plate with our fingers. Or some rice particles are left in the plate or something is left. We collect it in a bowl and then that is what is the real remnant. The food that has been touched by the saliva of that pure devotee.
And this is because now in our real-time situation, as we are offering to Lord Krishna, unka jivta kha rahe apan, right? We are eating there, right? Offering the prasad bhoga to Lord Krishna, and we are taking back. So it is nothing but we are. This is what the process is, right? Means Krishna ko prasad.
Yeah. We first cook, we offer it to Krishna, we offer to it our spiritual master or to the advanced devotees, and then we take. So from Krishna, when we offer it to the spiritual master, it is prasadam. But when we take their prasadam, their remnants, it becomes Maha prasadam.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yes, whenever the opportunity comes, we should honor it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mata.
But sometimes, why Prabhupada here, it says that by their permission, because these days I have seen myself, people fight for the remnants. Like in temple also you see, oh, you have touched my feet, I'll touch your feet. Oh, Prabhu, why you are touching my... People do Prabhus, they'll quarrel like anything. They will fight in touching the lotus feet of each other. Now, that should not be the case. Don't become violent in doing all this. But like silently, wherever you get the opportunity, try to get the dust of the lotus feet, try to get the remnants of the devotees, whenever and wherever the opportunity comes. Like some Maharajas come, I'll give you one example. Some Maharajas or some advanced devotee come, they come to some home program, they come to some temple, they normally leave their shoes outside. So if you know that, okay, these shoes belongs to that, quickly go and take the dust. Now, you don't have to tell everybody, oh, I'm taking, you also come, you also come, you also come and take this. What happened? You'll create a whole crowd over there. And if the person comes to know, the devotee comes to know, he will or she will feel very embarrassed. So that situation we should try to avoid. This is for our own bhajan, right? So for our own bhajan, it's okay to be selfish sometimes. If you get it, yeah, it's good to share always, but that doesn't mean that you create a whole crowd over that place. Yeah, but whenever possible, take that or grab that opportunity to take the dust or to take the remnants. Okay, Prabhu. But sometimes the spiritual masters are very, very strict. In New Jersey, when I was there, I got an opportunity to serve His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And I got an opportunity to cook for him also, which is a very rare opportunity, I should say. Even though Maharaj was very, very merciful, I was not even a disciple, but still he allowed me. And later when Maharaj honored, there was something that was left on the plate, and Maharaj made very sure. He said, I want only the Brahmanas, only the second initiated devotees to honor the remnants that I have left. So he was very strict. Because when we give our remnants to others, we give our good qualities also to them. So spiritual master becomes kind enough for his disciples to accept. But sometimes it is okay when, like I felt okay when Maharaj said that I don't want everybody to take my remnants. It's okay that only the second initiated devotees can take. And luckily, fortunately, I was second initiated. Therefore, I got a chance to honor and to cook for Maharaj. So yes, devotees have their own. So the point is that we should always try to not to leave anything. So whenever we go to somebody's house, what we should do is when we honor, of course, nobody is hankering for our remnants because we are so much conditioned. But still on the safer side, we should always honor and try to wipe our plate, means rinse our plate properly so that we don't leave any remnants. Yes, Praladananda.
Dhanapranad Mata. This such incident did happen to me also in Los Angeles many years back. Guru Maharaj, Gopal Krishna Maharaj was invited and I went from Las Vegas there. And he left a piece of some sweet meat, like magas, we call it in Gujarati. So I took it up and, I distributed to the people who went with me from here. And then I took it to the remnant. So when he came, he saw me doing that and he asked me, did you take it first or did you take it last? So I said, Maharaj, I gave it to all of them and last piece I took. Then he was very pleased with me. Yeah, you did good job. Right? I just wanted to share that, Maharaj.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sharing is very good, but you don't create a chaos at that place. But yeah, thank you. Thank you. So now comes text 26. So what he's saying, Tatra Vaham Krishna Katha Pragayata. So he has already come to the level of Ruchi. Okay, Nishtha, Ruchi happened. Now he's saying, I got Pragayatam, I got taste in describing those Bhakti Vedantas when they were describing Krishna Katha. Every day I will hear Krishna Katha that they describe. Shravanam, I will do. I will hear. I will give the oral reception to that Krishna Katha by their causeless mercy. Again, Narad Muni is telling it's only by the causeless mercy of those Bhakti Vedantas that I was able to give oral reception to the Krishna Katha that they will describe every day. And that becomes very, very manohara, becomes very attractive to me. So now what is happening? After Ruchi is giving Nishtha. Sorry, after Ruchi, he is getting Asakti. He is getting attracted to what? Krishna Katha. We are also attracted. We all have our own asaktis. Okay. Some are asakt to job, wealth, possessions, spouse, family. We all have asakti. But here Narad Muni, after coming to the stage of Ruchi, he got asakti towards what? Hearing Krishna Katha. Tat Shraddhayame Anupadam Vishnavataha. Then he got Shraddha. So here, Shraddha is not the initial Shraddha we talk about. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that he has already reached to the level of Ruchi. So after Asakti, this Shraddha, he's talking about Rati, that he is getting Bhava. Pravishyashi anga mama bahad ruchi. So this ruchi is not the ruchi that we talked about the previous verse. This ruchi is actually the rati, the bhava, the emotional sentiments that Narad Muni developed. If somebody can read the translation.
Can I do, Mataji?
Yeah.
O Vyasadeva, in that association and by the mercy of those great Vedantas, I would hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna, and thus listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of the Godhead increased at every step.
Thank you, Mataji. So, this listening attentively, that is asakti, it was increasing every step. He is coming on to the level of ruchi. And this ruchi is not the ruchi that we discussed previously, but this ruchi is actually the rati, the bhav that he got. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is attractive not only in his personal features, but also in his transcendental activities. Why? Because there is no difference between Lord and the Lord name, fame, pastimes, and entourage. Abhinnatvam namnamina. There is no difference. They are all on the equal. The Lord descends to this material world out of his causeless mercy. Through Bhagavad Gita, we know that the reasons for Lord descends is paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya. Right? These are the three reasons. That is to protect my devotees, to annihilate the miscreants, and to establish dharma. But these are all the secondary qualities, the secondary reasons for Krishna to appear. The main reason for Krishna to appear is given here. Is out of his causeless mercy, he comes. Why? To display his various transcendental pastimes as a human being, so the human beings attracted towards him may be able to go home back to Godhead. This is the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Anugraha bhaktanam manushyam dehim astita. To give anugraha to my bhakti, to my bhaktas, to my devotees, to show compassion. Manushyam deham ashrita. I take ashraya, I take shelter of manushya deham, this human form. Bhajate tadrishi krida yashrutva tat paro bhaved. That when they worship me through my activities by discussing my pastimes, they become attracted to me, and that becomes the reason for them to go home back to Godhead, because they start developing asakti towards me by hearing my pastimes. Men are naturally apt to hear histories and narrations, but without knowing that such association is only shrama eva kevalam. It's only, instead of wasting time, one should get the attention to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. By hearing the narration of the pastimes of the Lord, one contacts directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because there is no difference between the Lord and the Lord qualities or his narrations. Abhinnatvam nam namino. Thus, being cleared of all sins, the hearer gradually becomes liberated from the mundane association and experience the transcendental association. So the whole idea is that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, one can become one of the associate of the Lord. And this is what Narad Muni is telling, that happens. So Prabhupada says, process of hearing in the association of devotees is especially recommended in the age of quarrel, in this age of Kali. And why? Because it starts with Shravanam. When we do Shravanam, only then our Kirtanam will be perfect, only then our Smaranam will be perfect. So the process starts from hearing. तस्मिंस्तदा लब्धरुचिर्महामते प्रियाशवस् अस्खलिता मतिर्मम ययाहमेतत् सत् असत्स्वमायया पश्य मयि ब्रह्मणि कल्पितं परे. So now what happens? He has already got what? He has got up to the level of rati. That after nishtha, he got asakti. Then he got ruchi. After nishtha, ruchi he got. But in this verse, the verse that we covered, 26th verse, he got asakti as well as rati. And that rati was just the semblance of rati, not the pure bhava got. Pure bhava didn't come directly in the heart of Narad Muni. It's just the semblance. Bhava itself is the semblance of prema. We know from Nectar of Devotion that the semblance of prema is what is bhava. But the semblance of bhava is what our Narad Muni got. But now his attention got more fixed, more gudha, more condensed. Tasmin tada labdha ruchir mahamante. My ruchi, my taste, my rati, the emotions that I were getting were more condensed. And then what happened? Pravashya askhalita matir. Matir means my intelligence becomes askhalita, means uninterrupted. Skhalita means to get interrupted. But askhalita means uninterrupted, means my intelligence got completely fixed in hearing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yayahametat, and therefore, after my mati got askhalita, uninterrupted, I got the difference between sat and asat. I understood what is sat and what is asat. I understood about the gross and the subtle. And I also came to know that this is because of swamayaya. It is only through one's own ignorance. That is the root cause by which we get this body of subtle and gross. Pashyamai, and therefore I could see. Pashyamai, Brahmani kalpitam pare. Therefore I could see in me. Whom he could see? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now Pashyamai means not physically to see, because that darshanam will happen later. But Pashyamai means here that he becomes realized. He got the real wisdom, that Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito, that Divya Gyan was awakened in the heart of Narad Muni. Somebody can read the translation.
Mataji, can I read?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, great sage, as soon as I got a taste of the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings, for both the Lord and I are transcendental.
Yeah, so thank you, Mataji. So first of all, he got an unflinching taste in hearing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, hearing about his pastimes. And then when his taste developed, He could realize, Pashyamai. See, Prabhupada also says, I could realize that it was by out only on my ignorance that I had accepted this gross and subtle coverings. Otherwise, me and the Lord both are transcendental. So how we engage our gross body? The gross body is engaged in the service of the Lord by performing some physical services, like doing arati, changing water cups, or offering garments. These are some services, or cleaning the temple, distributing books. These are certain services that we do through our limbs, through our gross body. But the subtle body also has to be purified. And that subtle body gets only purified, means our mind, our intelligence, our ego can only be satisfied when we engage our subtle body also in tasting the sweetness of the Lord. And that starts with the process of Shravanam. When we hear the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then we do Kirtanam, and then we do Smaranam. So our mati becomes askhalita, means it becomes fixed, it becomes uninterrupted. Ignorance is the material existence, and in material existence is compared to darkness. See, it is only through this process of avidya that we are here. In Nectar of Devotion also we learn that vicious cycle in which we are in. Like we perform sinful activities, then we get sinful reactions, and in that sinful reactions, what happens? Then we have prarabdha, aprarabdha, kutam, bijam, and then again prarabdham, aprarabdham, kutam, bijam, and this vicious cycle goes on and on and on and on. Because more we do activities, more we are entitled to get the reactions, and it goes on. But if somebody knows how to break it, then one will go on to the root cause, that the root cause of my prarabdha, aprarabdha, and my kutam bijam is because of the reactions of my sinful activities. So why I am doing that sinful activities? I should not do sinful activities, then I will not get entitled to sinful reactions. And if I'm not entitled to get my sinful reactions, then my aprarabdha, prarabdha, kutam, bijam will be finished. But what is the root cause of doing sinful activities? Is avidya, is ignorance. Because I considered this body as mine, so I try to do everything to please this body, to please these senses. And then we are in this ignorance. So this jivatma, which is pure, which is transcendental, which is Satchidananda, it is covered by this ignorance. And because of this ignorance, we get the desire to become Ishvara, to enjoy. And then what Maya does? Maya grab that desire and facilitate us by giving us a particular kind of body, like animal body, fish body, or a human body, just to fulfill the desire that the jiva has. And like it says, what is that verse where it says, Krishna bhuli jiva bhogavancha kare. Krishna ko bhul kar, when jiva does bhogavancha, nikatasthe maya jhapati adhare. Maya, which is standing near, will immediately take over that jiva and will give the body. So already the jiva is in ignorance, because of which the jiva is getting that desire. On top of that, Maya is taking control over that jiva, giving a particular kind of body, and that body comes with two things, gross and subtle. And with subtle comes what? Ahankar. So already the jiva is in ignorance. On top of that, there is another covering of ahankar, that I am this body. Therefore, a pig, which is so abominable, it's eating stool, but because that jiva got this desire in ignorance, on top of that got that pig body, with which got this ahankar, that this stool, this abominable things is very tasty. So that is what this ahankar that we got. And therefore, then that big body also that Jiva wants to enjoy. So that is the ignorance, which is the root cause of everything. So if we want to break through this vicious cycle, we have to break through that ignorance. And Prabhupada gives the way how to break that ignorance. He says the Supreme Personality of Godhead is compared to the sun. Wherever there is light, can darkness there? No. So hearing the Lord's pastime itself in the transcendental association of the Lord is actually that supreme light. To become associated with that supreme light is to dissipate all ignorance. By ignorance only the conditioned soul wrongly thinks. By ignorance only the conditioned soul wrongly thinks that both he and the Lord both are products of the material nature. But in fact, they all both are transcendental. But because we are in ignorance, we start thinking. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hayandakar Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Mayara Adhikar. Right? Chaitanya Charitamrita says Krishna is like a Surya and Maya is like an Andhakar. When sun is shining, can we expect any darkness? No, the darkness will be gone. Similarly, if we have the real knowledge of transcendence, all our ignorance will be destroyed. Jaha Krishna, taha nahi Maya Radhika. Wherever the sun is, there will be no darkness. Wherever Krishna is there, Maya will not be there. And when ignorance is removed, it is perfectly realized that there is nothing existing without the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the gross and the subtle bodies, they are emanations from the personality of Godhead, the knowledge of light permits one to engage both of them in the service of the Lord. The path of Archana or worshipping the Lord in the temple involves engaging one's gross body in the service of the Lord. Similarly, the subtle mind should be engaged in hearing the transcendental pastime of the Lord, thinking about them and chanting about them. Such realization of transcendental activities is made possible by many, many years of apprenticeship in the devotional service. But simply attraction of love for the personality of Godhead, as is was developed in Narad Muni by hearing, is simply effective. So Narad Muni is saying that now he got what? Nishchaya, fixed attention. But in the last verse, which we are not able to cover, that is text 28, he gets prema. So I leave it for Preeti Vilasni Mataji. She'll cover from this verse 28 because it's already 9 o'clock in US. So we'll end up here and we'll continue from this 28th verse. I promised her that I'll probably finish till 31, but we are not able to. My health is also not good right now. So we'll continue from verse number 28. But what till now we saw is that the different stages that Sri Narad Muni went through, from Satam Kripa, Mahat Seva, Shraddhaya, Gurupada Ashraya, then he got Bhajana Spriheshu, and then he got Bhakti, then Anartha Nivritti happened, then he got Nishtha, then he got Ruchi, and finally he got Asakti and Rati, that is Bhava. But now in the next verse, we will see that how that Rati also blossomed in Prema, which is the highest, which is the ultimate goal. That blossomed, that Prema, that flower got blossomed, that Rati got blossomed in Prema, and that we will see on Thursday. That is verse number 28 onwards. So we'll stop here. Thank you so much. Yes, Param Bhavani Mataji, you have to something to say. Happy to see you, Mataji, after a long time.
Yes, Mataji. I moved to Krishna house.
I know.
And still I'm living in bag. Didn't unpack the bags. Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Krishna house, we have Bhagavatam class every day in the morning, and in the morning we had the verse Canto 2, chapter 9, verse 1. And the theme is almost as similar as this verse, like verse number 27, where Srila Prabhupada gave the word Atma Maya. Mataji, Can you please pull up 2.9.1? There I have a...
Sorry. Yes. Atmamaya Nrite Rajan Parash Anubhavatmanah Na Gritartha Sambandha Supna Drishtir Evanjasa. Yes.
Here, Prabhupada also saying that the spirit soul is distinct from the material conception of life, but he is absorbed in such material conception because of being influenced by the external energy of Lord, and that's called Atma Maya. So, Mataji, my question is, in the 27th verse, we learned that Krishna Surya Sama, Maya hai andhakar, jaha Krishna tahanai Maya adhikar. And so, like, when Jiva decides to be in the darkness, like, or that's why Krishna gives forgetfulness with, like, with a small willpower, Jiva decides. Otherwise, how?
Jiva decides. Jiva desires. The soul desires. Krishna bhuliya jiva bhogavancha kare. Krishna ko bhulkar when jiva does bhogavancha. Right? The jiva desires to enjoy separately from Krishna. He wants to become his own Ishvara. At that time, Maya takes over. So, Swamayaya also means, here it says, Swamayaya also means ignorance, also means coming in contact with the external energy of the Lord. In this verse, Swamayaya, Atmamayaya means the external energy of the Lord. Point is the same, that one comes under the control of Krishna's external energy the moment one desires to enjoy separately from Krishna. And we all are pramanas. We are here in this material world itself is a praman that once we desired to enjoy separately from Krishna. And therefore, till now, we are in the clutches of Maya, struggling hard to get free from those clutches, from that entanglement, and go back to Krishna. Yes, it's Jiva only. Jiva itself is responsible because that free will is given to Jiva, right, at every point. So we have misused our free will.
Misused, right? Misused.
We have misused our free will. Free will is given to everybody at every step. You have that free will, either to unpack your things in Krishna house or attend this Bhagavatam class, right?
Yeah.
So you, okay, I can do that unpacking later, but let me attend this Bhagavatam class because then unpacking will happen forever. But let me hear Krishna Katha so that my mind is at least fixed on Krishna. So that free will is given at every step. How we take it is what it matters. And that matters, and how ignorant we are or how much in clutches of Maya we are.
I'm pretty much in clutches. Thank you, Mataji, for giving so good example. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Sankari Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my most respectful obeisances at the dust of your lotus feet. My pranams to all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis.
My pranams to you.
Thank you, Mataji. I was thinking about two things right now. The conversation that we were having with Parampavani Mataji. Free will, it's such a funny concept because the minuteness of our free will is unimaginable. Yet, for me, we don't even go to the extent of misusing it, but we abuse it at every point. It's just it just blows my mind that how, with such a tiny bit of free will, what do? We really bring havoc in our lives. And it's not for one lifetime, but lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So I was just thinking that, yes, Jivas, like, at least for myself, like, please open your eyes and do something about it now. So that was a good reminder, Mataji. And Mataji, another thing, we were talking about Uchishta, and I was listening to His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu's class, and he was saying that Uchishta is not only limited to the remnants left by the Vaishnavas, but even the words coming out of the
Instructions.
mouth of the Vaishnavas is Uchishta. So even if we can take advantage of that, it would give us the very same benefit that we get from Uchishta. So Mataji, probably I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to honor Uchishta from you, but I'm definitely relishing the classes that you're giving. So thank you for giving your Uchishtas to us every week. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Sankari Kaur Mataji. Yes, a very valid point you brought. That all these three things, Bhakta Pada Dhuliyar, Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhakta Avashesha, Tina Mahaval. Definitely, literally also we have to take it by taking the dust, by taking the water, or by taking the remnants. That defines literally also, but figuratively also, as you said, that taking the instructions of the spiritual master. What if we just run after the remnants, we run after the dust of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, but we don't follow the instructions? Then it is simply useless. So that's not going to affect. Of course, the main thing is that we have to honor their instructions. That is why the instructions of the spiritual master has to be taken as one's life and soul. Now, those instructions can be personal instructions given to us, or those instructions can be the instructions given in the general public class. But it depends upon the disciple, how attentive that disciple is, that even if those instructions are given in general in public class, the disciple takes it to his own heart and takes, no, this is the personal instruction given to me by my spiritual master, so let me abide by that. So yes, it's very important. These things are important, but at the same time, the real crux is to follow the instructions of our spiritual master. Thank you, Sankari Kaur Mataji, for adding that.
Mataji, and one more thing, since you were talking about general instructions, just gotten an opportunity to glorify my Guru Maharaj, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. Guru Maharaj always says that I hardly met Srila Prabhupada 3 to 4 times, maybe. Just that. But one day he was in the San Francisco temple, and in the evening, the devotees were updating Srila Prabhupada about the book distribution on that day, the figures. And so Srila Prabhupada in the evening said that, okay, my books are not only for distribution, they are for you to read. And all of you should read my books. That was it for Guru Maharaj. From that day on till today, he is such a devout reader of Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's book. And we all know, I mean, he's been such an exponential figure in distributing Srila Prabhupada's book. But yes, that's what he keeps telling us, that, okay, we understand there are so many Gaudiya Vaishnav literature, but have you read and assimilated Srila Prabhupada's books? Let's first do that and then move on to anything. So yes, Mataji, general instructions, but that is what he made his life and soul. And we are so fortunate to have him in the movement. Hare Krishna.
Of course, definitely. And he's such a personality. It's my personal experience when he once came to North Carolina. Even at the gas stations, even when he is in the car going for some home programs, he'll immediately take out his sloka book or any other Bhagavatam and he'll start reading. Avyartha kalatvam. That's the thing that I learned from His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, not wasting even a moment doesn't go waste if it is not utilized in the service of Krishna. So he always makes it a point that whatever time gap is there between the classes or going from one place to another or relishing prasadam, he always makes it a point that he'll discuss Krishna Katha. And that is the quality of a pure devotee and Uttam Adhikari Bhakta. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. And it's so important. I've seen personally that in ISV, where he's stationed, Maharaj is stationed, he has made all the youth and even the adults so much deep into Krishna consciousness by reading, by studying Srila Prabhupada books so scrutinizingly. He has a perfect sadhana program that runs in ISKCON of Silicon Valley. So yes, it's very important. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Padmini Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, despite your sickness, you have given us a very nice class.
I don't know, Mataji, this sickness is, I think so, it's going to be lifetime. I'm not able
No,
to...
Mataji, we pray that you should be much better. No, you used to tell, I know, Bhaktas tell that even sickness is Krishna's mercy.
Yeah.
So that is, Mataji, we want you to be very healthy. What I really was impressed is, despite all that, you're still patiently answering to the questions. But my simple doubt I had is, for all that you were talking about Bhakti, and there is something called prapta, we call praptam. Only if you have that, we can go into this kind of Bhakti process.
What you said, Mataji, what's the word?
What is praptam? I don't know what you tell it. Praptam in English is, and the blessings, sort of a blessings that you should already have. That's called praptam. In Sanskrit also it's called praptam. So is it that way? I mean, only for those people, for example, even hearing to this Bhagavatam or being with Krishna conscious or being with very senior devotees, blessing, all that, is it based on that component, or because it's a cyclic process? I used to always think about it, so I thought if there is any clarification on that.
Mataji, that is what is known as Agyat Sukriti. That Agyat Sukriti, Praptam. Okay, what Narayan? Oh, Praptam means destiny. I don't know what you are talking about, Praptam.
Praptam is not destiny, Mataji. Praptam is, you should, it's just like having that blessing is one type of blessing. You should have to get more blessing. That is what is called.
That is what is Satam Kripa. That is what the causeless mercy of the devotee. Because once we get that mercy of the devotees, we become entitled to get more of the blessings. Brahmande
You already have blessings to get the blessing of the devotees. That right?
So no. We don't need blessings
Or
to
it is
get.
like in previous birth, you already have that mercy. So in this birth, you are getting. Is that true, or it is directly?
Yes, it's true. No. It's true that Agyat Sukriti, that component of Agyat Sukriti, is needed to come in the association of a pure devotee.
Okay. That is a primary aspect. Is that right? Or
That is the primary aspect. Yes, of course. All of a sudden you will not. That's what I'm saying. Brahmande brahmite khone bhagyavana jiva. Guru Krishna prasade paye bhakti lata bija. Otherwise, we are simply wandering in this 14 planetary system.
So that is applied to Narada also, Mataji?
That is applied to Narada also, because who was Narad Muni in his previous verse? Upabharna. He was a Gandharva. He was a Gandharva.
So
yes, little bit of Agyat Sukriti is Sukriti, or the deeds that we do, offer it to some devotees. Like if some devotees go out and chant, and somebody who is not in Krishna consciousness, they will also come and they will chant or they will dance in that kirtan, in that sankirtan. So what is that they are developing? They don't have any taste. They don't have any motive to join ISKCON. They don't have anything related to ISKCON, but they just come, they appreciate the devotees, they give some donation, or they don't give in the donation, they simply dance in that sankirtan. What are they getting? They are getting Agyat Sukriti. Classic example, Prabhupada was preaching in New York. When he came to New York, very new, in Matchless Gift in that 22nd Avenue in New York, he was in that small room and he was giving Srimad Bhagavatam class. All of a sudden, there was one person, drunkard. He came because there were only hippies at that time in 70s when Srila Prabhupada came to West. A drunkard, he came and he immediately he came, and he used to come before also, but not regular. And that day he came when Prabhupada was giving Srimad Bhagavatam class. In between the class, he came inside the room. he straight away went to the toilet and he placed a toilet roll, a paper roll. And Prabhupada said his devotional service started. What he did, he wants to join Prabhupada movements? No. Was he attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam class given by Srila Prabhupada? No. Was he attracted to Krishna? No. But what he did, because you have come previously and he went to the toilet, he didn't find that toilet roll or the paper roll. Next day when he came, though he was drunk, but he brought that toilet roll to serve the devotees. So the devotees, when they go, they have a proper arrangement there. So Prabhupada said his devotional service started. That is what the Agyat Sukriti he got. That Agyat Sukriti will fructify in some lifetime where he'll come in the contact of the pure devotee and his journey of Krishna conscious will begin.
Oh, thank you very much, Mataji. That is a
Right?
clarification.
Yeah, that is what is known as Agnat Sukriti. Agnat means unknowingly getting some pious merits.
Okay.
Not knowingly, unknowingly achieving some pious merits, which becomes the prerequisites to come in contact with some pure devotee, because of which that seed of devotion is sown in the heart.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much. Dandavat pranams.
Dandavat pranams. Okay, dear devotees, anything else? Okay, thank you all so much. So we'll stop here. See you all on Thursday. Let's pay obeisances to all the Vaishnavas on the call. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhuvaivacha patitanam bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srimad Granth Raj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, all the assembled Vaishnavas.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
All the assembled Vaishnavas ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.